The world of Formula One is approaching its final and most explosive moment of the year. As the 2025 season moves toward its ultimate showdown at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix on December 7th, tension fills every garage, every pit lane corner, and every whisper between team engineers. But beneath the polished atmosphere of Yas Marina, behind the carefully worded press releases and the calm expressions worn by team principals, something far more dramatic is brewing. Red Bull Racing is preparing to unleash a last-minute upgrade on the RB21, an upgrade so sudden, so secretive, and so strategically timed that many are calling it the boldest gamble of the season. And with Max Verstappen locked in a three-way title fight with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, this final upgrade may be the one thing capable of turning the tide of the championship. All season long, the RB21 has been a machine full of contradictions. At the start of 2025, it seemed unpredictable, temperamental, and more demanding than any Red Bull chassis Verstappen had handled in recent years. Some races showcased flashes of brilliance, while others exposed vulnerabilities that kept analysts guessing. Verstappen himself hinted in several interviews that the RB21 was sensitive, reactive, and often not behaving in a way a World Championship challenger should. For the first time in years, the King of Formula One looked uncomfortable. And that discomfort echoed across the paddock, where rivals quietly sensed an opportunity to end Red Bull's era of dominance. But Red Bull Racing has never been a team that surrenders a season, even when the world assumes the fight is over. While other teams began shifting their focus toward the massive regulation overhaul coming in 2026, Red Bull took an opposite path. Instead of conserving resources, they poured even more energy into late-season development. And if there's one thing everyone in Formula One understands, it is this. When Red Bull invests deeply and quietly behind the scenes, something big is coming. The first hints of this transformation appeared during the later rounds of the season, when the team brought a subtle but powerful package of improvements: revisions to the front wing, a modified floor, and fine-tuned underbody aerodynamics. At first glance, nothing seemed extreme, but data from early runs painted a different picture. The RB21 suddenly displayed improved aerodynamic efficiency, sharper turn-in response, and most noticeably, explosive mechanical grip on corner exits. The car that once refused to behave now seemed to come alive. Verstappen could attack corners again. He could brake later, carry more speed, and trust the rear end to hold through challenging sequences. Yet despite these improvements, Red Bull didn't stop. They pushed again. Now, in the days leading up to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, insiders whisper that Red Bull has introduced another last-minute upgrade, one final evolution of the RB21 that rivals are calling a trick, a desperation play, or, in some cases, a championship-deciding weapon. And the irony is as sharp as it is dramatic. The circuit where this upgrade will debut is perhaps the single most perfectly suited track for what the RB21 has now become. Because Yas Marina doesn't just test a driver's skill, it tests a car's entire aerodynamic identity. The layout of Abu Dhabi is unique in Formula One. Long straights demand aerodynamic efficiency, while tight 90-degree corners and technical sectors demand mechanical grip and rear tyre stability. Any car that lacks balance is exposed brutally. Any car that sacrifices traction for top speed risks losing time through the twisty Marina section. And any car that sacrifices downforce for grip risks losing time through the first and second sectors. Yet thanks to their late-season upgrade, Red Bull has unintentionally, or perhaps very intentionally, built a machine that aligns almost perfectly with Yas Marina's demands. This is why anticipation is so high. This is why tension surrounds the paddock. And this is why the entire Formula One world is watching Red Bull more closely than ever. But while Red Bull gears up to unleash this final surprise, the championship story grows even more dramatic. For the first time in more than a decade, Formula One arrives at its final race with three drivers still capable of becoming world champion. Lando Norris leads the standings with a small but fragile advantage. Oscar Piastri lurks closely behind, and Max Verstappen sits within striking distance, needing a flawless weekend, a strong car, and perhaps just a touch of good fortune to secure his fifth world title. The stakes could not be higher. Every lap will matter, every pit stop will be a risk, every mistake will be punished. And now Red Bull has introduced an upgrade that could shift the balance. As practice sessions loom, analysts have already begun speculating on what this upgrade could mean. If the new floor and aero adjustments deliver what simulations predict, Verstappen could gain several tenths per lap in the critical traction zones. Over a 58-lap race, that advantage could become enormous. But this is Formula One, where nothing is guaranteed and upgrades are merely promises waiting to be fulfilled under the harsh reality of racing conditions. Some upgrades shine in controlled environments but fail under pressure. Others underperform initially before blossoming into race-winning innovations. That uncertainty is what makes December 7th so electrifying. That unpredictability is what keeps fans locked in anticipation, and that possibility that one upgrade could change everything is what transforms this final race into something more than a sporting event. It becomes a moment where legacies shift, narratives collide, and champions are written into history. Max Verstappen enters this weekend with a calm expression, but beneath that calm is a storm of responsibility. A fifth championship would place him among the greatest drivers the sport has ever seen. But failing to win the title, after Red Bull's relentless effort, would raise questions no champion wants to hear, and Verstappen knows that. He understands the weight, he understands the stakes, and he understands that this upgrade, this one final gamble, may be his last real opportunity to turn the title fight in his favour. As the paddock prepares for the weekend, there is another layer to all of this, a psychological one. Red Bull's late-season development hasn't just affected their own car, it has rattled rivals. McLaren and Ferrari now face the possibility that their year-long strategy may not be enough. Their comfortable belief that Red Bull was fading has been shattered. And with the ultimate race approaching, uncertainty hangs in the air like static before a thunderstorm. Imagine the moment Verstappen turns his upgraded RB21 into the first corner in practice. All eyes will be on the timing screens. Engineers will study every millisecond. Reporters will analyse every sector split. Because if this upgrade works the way Red Bull believes it will, the championship dynamic will shift instantly. But what if it doesn't? What if Red Bull miscalculated? What if the upgrade backfires? What if Verstappen loses confidence instead of gaining it? These questions linger, fueling the tension. Speaking of tension, if you're still watching and haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button before the FIA decides to introduce a regulation banning enthusiasm. Trust me, your support helps more than you know. Now, as the days count down to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the story reaches its most critical point. This race is no longer about who has been the fastest throughout the season. It is not about early dominance or mid-season struggles. It is not about past victories or past mistakes. It is about this moment, this weekend, this upgrade, and the courage to take one last shot when everything hangs in the balance. Red Bull has made their move. Verstappen is ready. McLaren is preparing their counter. Ferrari is waiting in the shadows, hoping to disrupt the rhythm. And the world is watching, waiting for the moment the engines roar to life and the truth of this last-minute upgrade is revealed. Will the RB21 emerge as a championship-winning masterpiece, reborn just in time for glory? Or will Red Bull's bold gamble collapse under the intense pressure of a season-defining weekend? We will all discover the answer at Yas Marina. And regardless of the outcome, one thing is undeniable. This race will echo throughout Formula One history. Because sometimes greatness is not defined by how a season begins, but by how it ends. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the biggest pre-race twist of the season, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more, and tell me in the comments. Do you think Red Bull's upgrade will be enough for Max Verstappen to steal the 2025 championship? And when you're ready for more analysis, watch the next video on screen. Our breakdown of the incredible 2025 season comeback that led us to this historic finale. We are approaching a moment that will define careers, rewrite narratives, and shape the future of this sport. And this is only the beginning.